think you said 10 to 20 million immigrants that are responsible for the driving up the housing costs. Is that what you said?
I'm referring to a Wharton report, yes.
Do you know what they based it on, what data, what information they looked at?
Yes, the survey by survey, community by community. You could go, if you'd like, I will have my people post it on the Treasury X account as we speak.
Well, thanks for the cooperation, because I'm just completely baffled. The average new home sale is about $500,000, and you're saying that it's driving up the housing crisis when DHS is over there trying to pick up and deport people because, quote unquote, they're a drain on society, they're dependent on public benefits. So if you're on public benefits, how do you afford a $500,000 house?
Well, let me clarify your confusion, because
I'm not confused, sir. Don't be demeaning to me, all right? Because I'm going to object and ask the chairman to make you answer questions.
Anyway,
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Scott Bessent was left tripping all over himself on Capitol Hill during a congressional hearing. And it wasn't because he got caught by some clever gotcha question. Nope. It's because he tried to insult everyone's intelligence in real time.
I'm trying to explain to you that it is rental income and rental properties. The value.
Do you really think that people have you
value,
been to the rental places of immigrants? I have people in my district that are in rental houses that I wouldn't rent to anybody. They're not expensive. They're probably $500 or $600 a month. You think people that can barely afford housing like that's the housing that we're talking about when we talk about the housing crisis?
He was out here trying to rebrand trickle-down economics into some upside-down flowchart that isn't backed by facts or reality, citing a Wharton study about housing demand while completely ignoring the supply-side reality that immigrants are the very people who build the homes he claims we don't have.
D properties push up the price of C properties. Inflation in C properties pushes up the price of A properties. Inflation in the price of A property. B properties pushes up A properties. So it moves up the stack. And if you think that somehow the laws of supply and demand do not apply to housing, I would say you're incorrect.
No, well, I'm not incorrect, because
the
only thing that we might say about immigrants is that we don't have new housing because they can't. There's a shortage of labor supply because they build the houses, and you all are more focused on deporting them than having them stay here and build.
You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher.
I mean, just consider Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Right now, he also, to be fair, has a lot on his plate. Trump's tariff policy disaster, all those deals Trump promised haven't really come to fruition. Prices are up, housing costs are up, healthcare costs are about to go way up for a lot of people. And voters continue to signal that they are unhappy with the way this administration has handled the affordability crisis. But don't worry, because Scott Bessent also has a plan.
You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher.
Of course. Struggling with the high cost of living? Just move. Quit your job. Pack up your family. Go find a new home when prices are at an all-time high. Should be easy. Do all that and your rising cost of living could go down by as much as, what was it again, Scott? 0.5%. Okay.
And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, that was just a warm-up act. Because when Representative Gregory Meeks got the mic, that's when Scott Bessent's entire sham fell apart. And Meeks made it painfully clear to him, Donald Trump, and everyone else who's enabled this disaster to happen.
Mr. Bessent, as our nation's treasurer, I'm sure you also know that a foreign-linked investment firm tied to the United Arab Emirates government quietly bought about half of the Trump family's crypto company, World Liberty Financial. And at the very same time, the President of the United States was dealing with that country on foreign policy. This is no longer just about a shady crypto deal or a possible gift. When a foreign-linked investor is putting hundreds of millions of dollars into a company controlled by the president's family And at the same time, this president is conducting foreign policy with that country. You know what that causes or creates? It creates a national security concern. So, I'm not going to ask much of you, Mr. Secretary. I just want to know whether you will commit today to pause and heighten the scrutiny of any bank charter or licensing application at the OCC connected to the World Liberty Financial until all of these conflicts of interest and foreign influence reviews are completed and shared with the United States Congress. All I need to know is, will you halt it and do a complete investigation and scrutiny of this licensing application? All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask
The
is yes or no.
OCC is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman,
so I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela to lobby
I take that as a no.
Chavez on behalf of
I
your
take that
donors,
as a
on
no.
behalf of your
You
donors.
do not want to answer that
I was
question.
sentenced to 110
I take
years
that
in
as a
jail
no.
For a $7 billion
Gentlemen's
contract.
time
I'm asking you to do your responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury.
Into a Venezuelan
You do not.
Mr. Meeks,
Will you?
time has expired.
You
No,
cannot
you
erase
told the
what you
witness,
did in
he's the one that went
2006.
past your time, Mr. Chairman.
No, and
he did not answer my question, and he wouldn't pass the
Mr.
time.
Meeks. He had 6 seconds left to try to answer your question, and the
It was
time
a yes or
expired.
no. It was a yes or no answer. I asked him, will he? No, was that
Gentlemen,
yes
the
or
chair
no?
recognizes
OCC
the
is an
gentleman.
independent
Stop
agency.
Mr.
covering
Bessent.
for the president.
Yeah, well,
Stop being his flunky.
yeah, and
Gentlemen.
He's talking to me. I'm responding
your
back to him.
2006 trip to Venezuela.
Neither
Why
one-
don't
Stop
why don't you
covering
tell
for
your
the
secretary
president. Don't be a work for the American
Secretary,
people.
Mr. Meeks.
trip to
Mr.
Venezuela?
Meeks.
Work for the American people.
And maybe
Don't
you're
be
going-
a
maybe you're
cover-up
going to-
for a mob.
Instead of owning their own incompetence, failed policies, and protection of corporate investors and donors, Republicans are trying to pin the blame on immigrants. It's easy to punch down and scapegoat than admit that they broke the system. And that whole scam played out on Capitol Hill during a congressional hearing. And Bessent didn't just get challenged, he got called out on the carpet. Maxine Waters tore into him, and then Texas Representative Sylvia Garcia stepped in and pushed him so hard on basic reality that he completely unraveled and panicked like a kid who just pissed his pants. You'd think after getting humiliated on Capitol Hill, Scott Bessent might maybe take a step back, reassess, maybe stop insulting people's intelligence, but nope. He doubled down. Because according to Trump's Treasury Secretary, who already has a disaster on his hands with tariffs, broken trade deals, rising prices, and an affordability crisis voters keep screaming about, he got a solution. And it's genius. If you're struggling with the high cost of living, just move from a blue state to a red state. That's it. Quit your job, pack up your family, leave your support system, go house hunting while prices are at an all-time high. And if you do all that, congratulations, your inflation rate might go down by a whopping 0.5%. That's insanity. That's the same out-of-touch nonsense we just watched collapse under questioning in Congress. Jen Psaki laid it bare. Prices are up, housing is out of reach, healthcare costs are about to spike, and voters know this administration has failed them on affordability. And instead of owning it, Scott Bessent's answer is just move, not fix wages, not build housing. But this is the same guy who just tried to blame immigrants for $500,000 homes. The same guy who just got his ass handed to him, but now wants Americans to believe that the affordability crisis isn't about policy failure. It's about geography. If that sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. And people aren't buying it anymore. Because while Bessent and this administration play spreadsheet games and scapegoat immigrants, real people are getting crushed. Rent is eating half of people's paychecks. Mortgages are out of reach unless you already have money in the bank. Grocery prices keep climbing while wages lag behind. Families are skipping doctor visits because they're terrified of what happens if their health care gets cut next. Seniors are worried about Medicaid. Workers are watching the economy wobble while America's standing in the world slips. and they know something is deeply wrong. This isn't a golden age. It's an age of stress, anxiety, and economic pressure where the pain flows downhill to working people while the profits flow up to corporations, donors, and insiders. Bessent sat there trying to sell the country on an idea that housing prices are exploding because immigrants on public assistance are somehow buying $500,000 homes. He cited a study about demand while completely ignoring supply, ignoring labor shortages, ignoring the reality that immigrants are the very people who build the homes we don't have enough of. He tried to convince Congress and the American people that immigrants are the ones to blame. But Sylvia Garcia shattered his nonsense with one simple question that he could not answer. Jen Psaki exposed just how absurd his just move to a red state solution really is, and Gregory Meeks delivered the hammer drop that left his jaw on the floor. Stop being Trump's flunky. Stop covering the president. Do your damn job for the American people. And that's not a suggestion, that's an order. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.